Looking at the FX space, I do think that we're likely to see, big moves alongside the indices space. We're going to see big moves in terms of the dollar. Now, what we're going to see, I think we'll just take a look at the charts and we'll really try and gauge exactly what's going on. I think one of the big moves is going to be the yen, because of course yen is really tied in with the whole risk on, risk off sentiment kind of move. So when we see the likes of the indices rally, really that means that we're likely to see a bit more of a risk on move. Therefore you would see weakness for the yen, or you would think so. Anyway, but let's start off by looking at what's happening with the euro dollar. Euro dollar is selling off into a big point of resistance today. We can see here 11059. 11059 is a resistance point from December, so it's the high of December. And when we saw this breakout and it started to pull back, I was thinking it'd be great if we could come back down to 11059. It also is this big 200-day SMA, and that is both coming in at the same area. So essentially we are at a big decision point. Bear in mind that we've got this rally, consolidation, rally, pullback or retracement. This would give us a good area that I would hope to see it rally once more. But of course we've got to see some sort of bullish reversal sign. I'm not going to place trades blindly, but if we started seeing some sort of bullish reversal sign from here, I think this would be a great area for us to reverse back up onto the trend that we have been seeing in the past 3 months, which is actually a resurgence for the euro. Now, if we look in terms of the hourly time frame, we can try and see if we have got any of those signals. We can see here that we've got flatlining tops coming into play on Friday. That's a bit of a question mark. It's not necessarily a bullish signal, but certainly it's an improvement from the creation of lower highs. And then in terms of the bottoms, we did set a new low. Again, we've done the same kind of thing here. So it's going to be very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised to see from where we are now us rally back into this area between 11118 and 11139. And then really it's a case of looking to see if we actually see some sort of bottoming formation coming into play. I think 11139 is going to be pretty crucial for that. Of course, we need to actually see it hold up. If we do see a close below 11059, then it could look like actually we're going to sell off quite heavily once more. But I do think this is a really crucial level. It is the kind of level that we could possibly see the market take stock, and certainly given the fact that we're coming into a big support level within a retracement of an uptrend, I wouldn't be surprised to see us actually start to bounce back towards the back end of this session and start to see some sort of resurgence in terms of the euro. Looking at what's happening in terms of the dollar yen, again, what I was saying before about the idea that we could see, some sort of resurgence in terms of dollar yen in line with the potential for a bullish move in terms of the indices space. We have seen a nice move higher today, but bear in mind this is set within a downtrend. So let's look in terms of the hourly time frame. So last week we did see this market move lower. Now we have actually just tentatively moved up above 11320. 11320 is your first sort of key resistance point and your first swing high within this downtrend, and therefore if we get a close up above there, that starts to look like actually this downtrend that we've got in play, there are some question marks and we could start rallying back up towards the upside. If I show you it back on the daily time frame, we can see here this is it on a longer term perspective. We saw this big topping pattern. We saw it move down towards 11066. Now we've seen some sort of recovery. If we started seeing a big move higher from here, then all of a sudden you've got the creation of a new higher low. If we get it back up towards a resistance point 11490 and then start breaking higher, then that starts to look like this sell-off could be over. And again, that's the same kind of thing that we're talking about in terms of the indices. If we start to see the signals that possibly this sell-off could be over, you'll start to see the same kind of moves, the big moves that we have seen at the beginning of the year, the likes of the sell-off in terms of dollar yen would be likely to start unraveling. But bear in mind, a lot of this is really tied into what's happening in terms of oil prices, because of course, if oil prices keep going down, you're likely to see the likes of the FTSE 100 falling down. Again, same kind of thing you'd be looking for in terms of some of the other indices. This is New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. We can see here essentially we've got this symmetrical triangle coming into play. We are moving towards the upside, but we've got the 200-day SMA, which generally we don't necessarily manage to sustain price up above very often. And therefore, I think this is an interesting market to be looking out for, because we are likely to get a break soon enough because we're approaching the apex of this formation. I'd be waiting for a break and a close above or below this pattern. So the first swing high in or out of this pattern. 65.45 towards the downside, get a close below there, it starts looking bearish. 64.98, 64.57, and then this swing low here, 63.47. On the flip side, we get a close up above 67.39. You'll be looking at the next swing high, 67.54, and then this topping area here around about 68.79. So this is an interesting one just because of the fact that we're coming into the back end of a symmetrical triangle pattern.